Hi, I'm Neil McMahon, Bryant Park Consulting's Configure Price Quote CPQ lead. On today's video, we'll be taking a deep dive into NetSuite CPQ, manufacturing, and services. On today's use case, I will be playing the role of a sales manager who is on the phone with an opportunity. The company whom I work for manufactures, sells, and installs speakers. NetSuite CPQ is fantastic for any industry, vertical, horizontal, but it is also great for industries that are a mix of, say, services and manufacturing. Let's get started. I'm on an estimate record. I will hit the configure button, and that will launch me into the CPQ. Because I have this demo account, I have many different configurators, but likely, as a speaker company, we would maybe only have one or two, and it would directly launch into the configurator, or perhaps we have several, maybe one for installation, one for just quoting services, so on and so forth. But I have this configurator set up to handle everything. We know that they want the J1 type, surround sound, and we're going to be quoting the Wedge series. The configurator can utilize CPI composite images on the right to display the product. Also, in the summary, it could show the product details or specifications, or even links to other certificates, certifications, PDFs, so on and so forth. We also can see that we have our part number dynamically being populated as I am filling out these inputs. And that will ultimately be our item ID or our SKU, or perhaps even a description, depending on how we're outputting our item, which we'll get to shortly. Let's select our finish, dark titanium. We're applying a cost to that finish, and that cost is going to be tallied up in the background. Currently, that dark titanium has a sales price of $380. We also have other validations telling us to complete inputs before the configuration is eligible to be submitted back to the transaction. Let's select our sheen, and those get added to the summary as well. On the bottom, we have our totals. So we, as a company, apply a configuration fee. We have the total voltage cost, wattage cost, sheen, and laser print cost. We can also mark up and add additional labor costs as well. Let's say we know that the rep going on site to do the installation has to stop at the hardware store to pick up a new hammer. If you really want to get nitty and gritty with the numbers, maybe you say that's $15, and that gets added to the total cost of the job or the service, depending on if you're doing the estimating around both the service and the item product itself, which we are in this case. Moving on, it's asking us if we want to input the item description ourselves. I could say yes or no. I can input the description here. Part number is the same part number from above, and that will be mapped to the line item. I can also choose to add a warranty item, which would be a separate breakout item. So in terms of the configuration, we are actually configuring an assembly item. The speaker is an assembly, and we're adding materials, i.e. our BOM or components, to this end item. So at any time, we can go to audit and look at that list of materials. These are dynamically triggered in the background via rules. We can pull in purchase price, calculate quantities of each component, but for now, they're just statically set to 1. Also, we can audit and look at our routing steps. Routing steps are the physical steps that go into the manufacturing of that finished good. These are connected to manufacturing cost templates and work centers. We have the name, the operation sequence, the work center. We can add comments. We are calculating the runtime. We can also see other things like run rate, setup time, and so on. So we're ballparking the entire service, the manufacturing of the item, and the sales price itself. Moving on, there are two routes we can take in terms of outputting the item. So remember, it's an assembly shell. So when we hit submit, it's going to be one line item, our dark titanium grill and cabinet flat speaker with a bill of materials rolled into it, and a breakout item, an additional separate item of a warranty. With that, we can either use an existing template item to avoid item bloat. So we're not creating a new item each and every time we're submitting because we may not know at the estimate level if we're going to be actually closing that deal or not. Or if you're perhaps on a different transaction like a sales order, maybe you do want to create the item at the time of submit. That way you can convert the sales order to a work order, and then through the standard NetSuite processes, the work order would be generated with the material list, routing steps, and the item name, and all the values. I'm going to pull up a favorite. You can save favorites to later come back to. You can share favorites as well with other sales reps, engineers, whoever has access to the configurator. For now, I'm going to retrieve this configuration that is set to use a template item. I will not apply a warranty to this. So what this will do is it'll output the assembly with this description and using what we refer to as a base generic product in the form of an assembly. Let's take a look at that. No other validations are up, so I can hit submit and close. It submits back to the line. Here we can see our base generic product, i.e. our template item, with that test description, the rate and the amount from the CPQ, quantity of one configuration, one line item. If we had the warranty with us, that would be a separate breakout item. At any time, we can click on the line, hit edit to later come back to, or come back to now and make changes, resubmit it, and it would update the line. Now I'm going to retrieve a favorite for item creation. So create new item. We can see that the logic has these rules tied to this input, indicating, yes, I would like to create a new assembly item. When I hit submit, it will use this description and map it to the item record, and it will use this part number as the item name ID. Any materials in it will also be added to the BOM. If you're using revisions, advanced bill of materials, advanced manufacturing, it all works flawlessly with that. Let's go ahead and submit this. This time, it'll tell us that it is creating that item. Now we can see we have our main assembly, which we just created. We can see it's appended with 0001, the description that we input in the configuration, and our warranty item, a separate breakout item. But if we open this record, we can literally see it's a brand new record that we just created upon submit with the description. The sales price is what we calculated in the CPQ session. Under manufacturing, we would have our bill of materials and our routings. I saved the quote, and now I'm going to hit edit. After I've saved the transaction and come back in edit mode, I can open proposals, proposal generator as we call it, or prop gen for short. We can set up different templates, and these could be PDFs, Word documents, however you want to save them or send them. Basically the proposal that we're sending out to our clients or opportunities. For this, we have a short one-pager, 1 to 3 page sample quote 3, we're going to say. We're going to open that up, and you can see it's a very straightforward document with the quote header, quote ID, the customer, the date, product information, even images can be shown. We have our separate breakout item, payment, legal terminology, T&C, and proposal generator can also be integrated with e-sign functionality like SnapSign and so on. So at this point, if you're generating your proposal and you want to automatically send that out to your opportunities, you can do that. There's functionality to be had there, or you could save it as a PDF on your local drive or a Word doc. And then if you'd like, you can even just simply go to communication, files, and attach it there. And that will be tied to the estimate or maybe the opportunity and be carried through um, for when the sale is actually made. PropGen is a great solution and is native to NetSuite and CPQ, and it is unique in that it can be mapped to any data in the configuration session. And they can also be customized to have different logos, subsidiary colors, information, so on and so forth. So maybe for one template, it's a short 1 to 2 pager, or if you have a longer document that you send out to other vendors, or other companies, partners with a lot of information, you can have another template set up for that. Thank you for watching this demonstration. If you have any questions, please reach out to Bryant Park Consulting.